Good afternoon and welcome once again to another edition of On Point for today, Friday the 26th day, of January 2024. And I almost stumbled just now because the month is coming to a close, the first month of the year, and it has gone by so quickly. But such is what it is. So welcome once again, and of course when we start off we would welcome all the folks who would have joined us, whether here on the island of Nevis, and I normally start at the bottom of Zion Hill and head around to St. Thomas Parish. Well, the bottom of Zion Hill is in the parish of St. James, just there where that gut is at the bottom of Zion Hill. And of course, stretching all the way into the entire parish of St. James and into St. Thomas Parish, and of course into St. Paul's Parish, Charlestown as we normally would say, and indeed we head up to St. John's Parish, into St. George Parish, and then back down to the bottom of Zion Hill again. So that is the entire Nevis we have covered, and all of the areas in between. And indeed it is my pleasure being here once again. Of course, outside the weather is just fabulous outside. I enjoyed what I was doing this morning out in the open environment, and didn't feel a sting on my body in any way. It was cool, there was some breeze, and the sun is out in all its glory, yes, but it's a wonderful day here on Nevis. And of course in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, let me shout up the folks down there in St. Kitts who normally would join us for this show. And we go further and welcome the folks down in Statia, St. Eustatius, for those who would want to know the correct name of our neighbor that we call Statia, St. Eustatius, but of course Statia for short. Then of course Saba, capital of Saba is the bottom, of course, and then you go into St. Martin, French and Dutch St. Martin. I sometimes skip over St. Bart's, but St. Bart's, I'm sure we have Nevisians there as well, and Kittitians also. And indeed we go into the British and Dutch, or British and US Virgin Islands, and also Puerto Rico. Of course we have following there because we have nationals there as well. Then we move up to the United States from way up in the northeast, Vermont and New Hampshire, Maine, and those states that are up in the northeast of the United States, and come all the way down to the south of the United States, South Florida, into the Midwest, and go all the way over to the west, the western coast, California, and all the way up to Washington State. So all those states, Alaska, Hawaii, all of them, Nevisians are in those areas. I know for a fact Nevisians are pretty much in all of these states. We have persons who would have gone to school in North Dakota as well, right here on the island of Nevis, making their contribution. And indeed, I got a call from my Canadian friends who said that I did not mention Canada. Of course, from all the way across in the west to the east, Saskatchewan, Ontario, wherever you are, Toronto, wherever you are in Canada, we always welcome you, because you are dear and dear to us, in that we can now get to go to Canada much easier than it was over the past, about 10 years, thereabout. And that is a good feeling for sure. So welcome to all of you. And then up in Europe, of course, all over Europe, including the United Kingdom, Germany, France, and all of the other European countries that have our nationals. They are taking care of our nationals, and our nationals are there contributing. I say welcome to you as well. Of course, Asia, we have students and persons living over there in the Republic of China, Taiwan, and I want to say good morning to you. Of course, the Republic of China, Taiwan had their election a few weeks ago, and indeed that is something that I should have made a post about, which I'll do that later today. Better late than never. But why I say that is because democracy was at work there. They had a free and fair election, even though it appears there were interferences from other areas, but democracy would have prevailed. And indeed I will certainly acknowledge them in writing over the next couple of hours, or by the weekend, of course, because they are our friends. They've been our partners in our development for the past 40 plus years. And indeed, they have contributed to the development of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis and the Republic of China, Taiwan, and its people certainly hold us in high regard, as we do the same for them as a nation, country. And of course, they continue to aspire to be a voice in the international community and be around the table and make their presence felt, which they are doing so as we speak. But at least being around the table would make them much more visible and much more amenable to offer all of the training and expertise that they possess. So I want to just say congratulations to them. That is the people and government of the Republic of China, Taiwan, for an election that was free and fair, and democracy would have prevailed. And of course, it's now on to the continued business of nation building there. I want to also, at this point in time, move into the next segment of our show, where we would acknowledge those who are grieving at this time and also those who are celebrating, but we normally touch on those who are grieving. And of course, at this point in time, I certainly want to express my condolences to a family over there in Brick Lane, down the range, as we say. That is the Nisbet family. They would have lost a brother, father, colleague, a friend. The whole of Brick Hill, of course, would have lost someone who would have grown up there. And I'm speaking of none other than Joel Nisbet. He left Brick Hill a long time ago, of course, yes. But you know, they say you can take a man out of the village, but you can't take the village out of the man. And indeed, he would have left Brick Hill, yes, but he was still a Brick Hillian at heart, because he would call, stay in touch, come back when he was able to, and of course he still had Brick Hill right in his heart. And I want to say this afternoon that we have lost someone who I believe would have made his contribution here on Nevis, but more so in most of his adult life. He would have done so on the island of St. Kitts. He lived over there in the Saddlers area and would have had some illness for some time. And of course, the time comes when we all have to go, and his time has come. But I want to say to the entire family, that is Mayrose, Roy, Amoy, who is his nephew, but Mayrose and Roy, they are brother and sister to Joel. And of course, down in St. Kitts there we know of Warren Bradshaw and, we say David Paul. But Flames, the taxi operator over there, those are his family as well. And indeed, the entire Brooklyn community and the Saddlers community, the entire St. Kitts and Nevis community, because he was known, I'm sure, throughout St. Kitts in some shape or form. And of course, here on Nevis, those of us who would have known him, would have spoken about him, and of course, other persons who certainly would have interacted with him here on the island of Nevis. So when you lose someone, you pay that respect, and we are doing so at this point in time. And of course, I want to say to the grieving family, it is always good to put your trust and faith in the good Lord and Savior, because that is where you'll find comfort. We can come and express our sympathy, greetings, yes, but at all times you have the Almighty to lean on. And I say lean on Him in these difficult times, and He will provide you with those comfort and reassuring arms. You know, the song is rest in the arms of the Lord, and that's where you should put your trust and confidence at this point in time. And all those who are grieving at this point in time, I want to express my condolences to you and your family, and hope that you'll find the strength to cope with these difficult times. We've had some persons leaving us on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis. So that is the order of the day, and it is what it is. And I've said before that life is a cycle. You're born, you live, and you're sure to die. So it is a cycle. The only difficulty is that final cycle, when you die, is a difficult one to cope with because of its finality, so to speak. So I understand I can only say I understand. I cannot say I know how you feel, because those of you who have just lost someone would feel different to someone like me who may have lost someone years ago, for example. So I understand. Let me use that term. And I hope that the Lord will continue to bless and guide you. So anyone as well over there at the Alexandria Hospital, I say to you, well, speedy recovery. And hopefully you will find some time to rest, recuperate, and then be back out on the street to make your contribution towards the development of this island. We need you, so hold on and be patient in your recovery so that you can recover well. Of course, when there is death, there's also life. And when there's a time to grieve, there's also a time to celebrate. The Bible tells us there's a time for everything under the sun. A time to born, a time to die. A time to smile, a time to frown. A time to be happy, a time to be sad. A time to celebrate as well. So this is the time for those of you who are celebrating a birthday or an anniversary to celebrate, as I have always said, as if it is the last, or celebrate and spend as much time and money and energies on yourself, because you deserve it. And no matter what it costs, how much it takes, spend it on yourself, because no matter how much you spend, it still won't be enough to spend on yourself. So go on out and have a wonderful day today. I want to, at this point in time, I apologize, express birthday greetings to a wonderful lady, a marvelous lady, a lady of great stature, and that is none other than Mrs. Violet Nichols, or Violet Jeffers Nichols. Let me get it right. Mrs. Violet Jeffers Nichols, over there in Libert Hill. Originally from Mount Lily, but she lived right down there in Libert Hill. Mrs. Nichols, I am saying to you this afternoon, happy birthday to you. We don't know how old you are, but I understand you're 90 plus, and you don't want to discuss that with no one, I suppose. But I want to say to you, anyone who know Mrs. Nichols would know that she's a woman who is always smiling, full of smile, beautiful smile, radiant smile. And today is her day to shine even more. And I want to say something about Miss Nichols, because of course, and Mrs. Nichols, I must say, let's be respectful. Of course, the Combermere Primary School was renamed in her honor. I believe it was in September of 2004. To be precise, I believe it was the 2nd day of September 2004. And indeed, some persons may say, well, I don't want the accolades. But sometimes you just have to give someone their flowers while they're living. And that was one of the most remarkable things at that point in time to do, because Mrs. Nichols would have had her exploits in education, of course. She was a school teacher. She was a head teacher. She was an education officer. And the interesting thing, from what I can recall, she was the first education officer here in the island of Nevis. She's a female, of course, and many times we talk about the exploits of female here on the island of Nevis. Well, females have been rising to the top here in Nevis for many, many years, and Mrs. Nichols is one of those females who would have done so. She had vision. She was a visionary person, visionary leader, and of course her exploits would have touched many a persons. I believe she had that type of character that many of us can look towards at this point in our life, and some of our young persons as well who are just getting into the profession of teaching or getting into the to any profession here on the island of Nevis should look at persons like Mrs. Nichols and try to emulate persons like Miss Nichols in some way. Because when you have a woman with vision, a woman of virtue, a woman with class, you have to say, well, that is a person who you'd want to emulate. She embodies all that is good about our Nevisian spirit. And so, Mrs. Nichols, today is your day. I want to just, before I wrap up on Mrs. Nichols, though, talk about something that is personal to me. And she may not recall, but I I tend not to forget those who would have impacted my life in some shape or form. And if you're listening, Mrs. Nichols, I'm sure you wouldn't recall, but I want to say to you that somewhere around 1980, thereabout, when I was on the in grade 6, I would want to remind the people of Nevis. Back then, we did not have anything called test of standards or any other form of examination that you could have done like they do today. I don't know if test of standards is still being done. Perhaps not. But anyway, that was something that was being done in recent times. Back in those days, though, all of the exercise books that you used in grade 6, they were saved, put together, and sent off to St. Kitts to be evaluated or for some sort of grading or score to be done. Based on that grading, then it was determined whether you can go to high school. Because at that time, St. James Primary School was an all-age school. Same thing with Combermere Primary School at that time. So you get to grade 6, your work is evaluated over there on St. Kitts, and then the list come back to Nevis with those persons who were successful in moving on to high school. Well, I would say I was raised by my grandparents, and they were so confident that I would be going to high school, they went and bought my blue shirt and my khaki pant. I wonder if it was bought, but I believe my pant was made by some seamstress or something, or tailor. I can't recall, but it was one of those polyester pants, you know. It's not the type of fabric that you have these days. But anyway, I had my uniform ready to go to high school. When the list came back to Nevis, Alexis Jeffers' name was not on it. Even though I was in the top 4 in grade 6 at that time, top 4, top 5. You know, I wasn't the brightest, yes. And that is okay. Whoever wants to knock me for that can do so. But there are some who are more gifted than others. But the class had in at least 20-something persons at that time. Or maybe almost 30. The roles were large at that time, yeah? So the list came back and Alexis Jeffers' name was not on it. Well, lo and behold, those who were behind me, in terms of the way they placed in the class, their names were on the list. Well, you know me. I was kind of, you know, a person who was quiet, yes, but I used not my voice, but I started crying all afternoon. I was weeping and wailing and crying. How could such person go or the other person go, and I'm here? Then I was told, you're not old enough to go to high school. Well, my date of birth is in November, so by September you had to be 12 years old to go to high school at that time. Yeah? So, I normally don't accept things like that from since I was a little boy. I was quiet, yes, but I didn't accept it. I cried and cried until my uncle, same uncle over there at Caribbean Pools, he was a person who was doing transportation at that point in time, had a bus of his own, came home from his bus route, and he met me crying about after 6 in the evening, and he said, you know what, let's go. We're going down to Mrs. Nichols. My grandmother, of course, was quite upset because she would have put in the time and the energy. I'm putting this story out there because there's a moral to it in that you can't give up in life. Anyway, we went down to Mrs. Nichols late in the evening, crying, going into her yard. When we got in there, the case was put to her. And she said, young man, go to school on Monday morning over at Gingerland Secondary School. I'm going to call and let them know you're coming. My name was not on any list. I was 11 and change at that point in time. I went to the Gingerland High School then. It's now Gingerland Secondary School. I forgot who the head teacher was then. Might have been Mrs. Andrew, who is now departed. But anyway, I got into the staff room there, or it was the head teacher's office. And I stated my name, and they looked at their list. They said, your name is not here. I said, I was told to come over here by Mrs. Nichols. And then they went about their business figuring out what to do with me. And they said, you'll have to do 2 exams, a math exam and an English exam. If you fail them both, you're going back to St. James Primary School. Well, I passed them both. And that's how I was able to stay in high school. I passed them both, and I stayed there at 11 and change, and then I went on up into high school. But I can never forget that story, because it was one where the decision could have been made right up there at Ingerland at St. James Primary School, knowing that I was among the top 4. But lo and behold, their teacher then decided otherwise, whether it was instructions that were given. But be that as it may, I wasn't going to live with that and spend a whole year at St. James Primary School, and all of my friends would have gone on to high school. I would have been 1 year behind in everything. Put that aside. I want to thank Miss Nichols today, because they say give person the flowers while they're living. And I want to say to you, Mrs. Nichols, that you would have touched many lives here in the island of Nevis, in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, and wider afield, because all of us who you'd have touched would have gone on to be successful in some shape or form. And it was because of your understanding and your character why I would say that we're all who we are. Along the life journey and along the roads that you travel in life, there are many people who would have such impact, and you're one such person. I know you don't like your name to be called, that's what I'm always told, but you know, like it or not, we have to say it as it is, because we need many more like you here in the island of Nevis and in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And I really feel good this afternoon to be saying what I'm saying, and my voice is what it is, because I'm suffering with the flu as well, but I just couldn't stay away today. I had to be here. So Miss Nichols, listen, I spent some time on you and on your name and talking about you. I want to say to you, may God bless you. May He give you many more years of good health and strength. Whatever it is you're dealing with, He's there with you, and He will see you through until the end. And God bless you, and may you continue to live a good and comfortable life right there in the community of St. James. And we all love you, we all cherish you, and we all wish you the best. So, sorry about that. Okay, so thank you very much for that. And we move on now to someone else who is celebrating today. My good friend June Isles. How could I forget you, June? But you know, you come after the best, but your time will come when you get a speech like that I just made. So, but for now, June, I want to say to you, my friend, have a wonderful day today. You're someone who knows how to celebrate anyway, and you have some lovely daughters there in your company who are going to make sure that, well, not just daughters too, but your grandmother now too. You have 2 grandchildren now. You're adding to the population, and you're contributing as you should, and I'm sure all of them will certainly make sure that mommy, grandma have a wonderful time today. And I want to say to you, you have my blessings to do whatever you so desire to today. Enjoy it as if it's the last, because it is what it is, and you're such a darling, you're such an impeccable person. I say to you, have fun and enjoy what is there to be enjoyed. I want all who are celebrating as well to go on out and enjoy as well. There is a lot of things here in Nevis for you to enjoy. Have a lunch, have a dinner, go to Malcolm Gishard Park, take a drive around the island, go and sightsee, spend some time up on the hill looking at the sunset. Do whatever you can to enjoy yourself. You have to make things happen for yourself and not wait for anyone to do it. So go on, have fun today, all of you who are celebrating, so that you can tell yourself that this year was the best for you. And next year when it comes, God's willing, you do likewise, and you make it even better at that time. God bless you all. So let's move on. I spent some time with the greetings, yes, but that's okay. I want to, at this point in time, while I'm doing my what you call it now, my information segment, to just touch on something here, because the St. James Primary School, I spoke about Violet O. Jeffers Nichols just now. Well, that school, the Combermere School, which was renamed, is the sister school, so to speak, primary school to the St. James Primary School. And of course, St. James Primary School came about after the closure of Whitehall Primary School, which was right down there in the Whitehall area opposite the small playfield. That I say small because it used to look so big back in the day, but it looks small now. As we go older, it looks smaller. But anyway, St. James Primary School, as it is, that's my alma mater. That school is celebrating 45 years of existence, which means it was opened in 1979. And I want to say I was attending the Whitehall Primary School at the time when it was being constructed, and then I transferred over to the St. James Primary School. So I was among the first batch of students who went to that school. So the 45th anniversary is being celebrated, and indeed they're having a church service over there at the Manning's Seventh-day Adventist Church. So let me just put it on records as to what is going to happen. Well, the note here says, we are delighted to extend a warm invitation to you for the upcoming celebration of our school's 45th anniversary service. The momentous occasion marks 4.5 decades of educational excellence, growth, and community spirit. The theme of our 45th anniversary is 45 years of education, paving the way for every generation. And as I said before, the date is Wednesday the 31st of January at 9 a.m. over at the Manning's Seventh-day Adventist Church, that is in Butlers. So we're welcoming all of you who would have attended that school, all of you who are well-wishers of the schools, all parents, everyone who that school would have played a part in your life to shape you. And even if you're just a well-wisher, you're a visitor, come on over and let's fill the church on Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. So that will be a ceremony filled with nostalgia, gratitude, and camaraderie as we reflect on the milestones and achievements that have shaped our beloved institution. The event will include special presentations, performances, and shared memories as the school would have journeyed for some years. So we're going down memory lane on Wednesday, the 31st of January, and all are welcome, all are invited. And even if you don't get an invitation, an official invitation, I will say to you, you have gotten it from me, you have gotten it from these airwaves. I say come on over and enjoy this service. I believe it's going to be fun. It is a service inside of a church, yes, but it will be clean, fun, and an enjoyable one. Don't miss out on it. So that will be on Wednesday, the 31st day of January at 9 a.m. And I thank you for accepting the invitation, of course. And indeed, while I am on schools, let me say as well that we are just about to start the sports season here in Nevis. That is the primary school and high school sports season. It starts next, well, no, it actually starts today. Today is the 26th, right? Yes, Maud Cross is having their sports day today. Wow, this has certainly crept up on us. So the calendar of activities or sporting activities are out, and I won't go through it, but I want to say to everyone out there to avail yourself of the calendar of sporting activities so that you can be a part of these and support your school, support the children, because they, of course, they are trying to raise funds. One, they're also displaying their talent, and they need their support in order to perform at their highest level. And indeed, you're all welcome to join in on these or in these sporting activities. I see here the St. James Primary School is on the 5th of March over there at the St. James Primary School grounds, 12:30 p.m. And then the next school that is of interest is the VOJN Primary School. Oh, before I get to that, we also have the Combomere Preschool, which will be at the VOJN Playfield at 1 p.m. on the 20th of March. And indeed, where is the St. James, not St. James, the VOJN Primary School? Oh yes, the what am I saying? The VOJN Primary School is on the 8th of March at the VOJ in Playfield, of course, starting at 12 noon. So St. James is on the 5th of March at the 5th of March at the St. James Primary School, their playing ground there at the back of the school. And then, of course, the Violet O. Jeffers Nichols Primary School is on the 8th of March, and that will be at 12 noon, right there at the VOJ in Playfield. And then on the 20th of March, it's the Combomere Preschool, right there again at the VOJ in Playfield at 1 p.m. So those three schools, I single them out because they're from my constituency, and I certainly love to be there to support these children, because support is always good for them, and we should all go out and do likewise in our various communities. Okay, so that takes care of that. You know, this show today might be one that is filled with just information, because indeed there are times we can come with different things, politics and otherwise, but we must have variety from time to time. So Tuesday, the 30th of January, I see here is the Premier's press conference. As usual, every month, the Premier of Nevis, the Honourable Mark Brantley, would have a press conference, as he has committed to. He always said that because that it was part of his commitment to the people of Nevis, and he does that at the end of each month. This time around, it's the 30th, Tuesday, the 30th day of January at 10 a.m. and it's normally held right there in the cabinet room at the Premier's Ministry down at Penny's. So join him for that on Tuesday, the 30th, where you'll get all of the information you want to get. And it's normally one pack with a lot of information that we can take away, and he's always very forthright with his presentation, and indeed questions, of course, will be asked and answered. So that would be for Tuesday the 30th. Now, last week I touched on some incentives that the NIA is offering to the people of Nevis, whether you're a private home owner, you have a residence of some sort that you would provide services to persons who are looking for a guest house or a B&B, as they call them, whatever the case might be. Even businesses were included in that incentive package. So I want to just touch on some new information that would have come out in recent days. We know that we are preparing for Culturama 2024. This is the 50th anniversary of our Culturama celebration, and this is dubbed Homecoming Celebration for Culturama 50. That is what is quote unquote the main caption this year, along with the slogan, of course. But this is a homecoming event, and last week I would have refreshed our memories as to what would have transpired in 2014 when we had our 40th anniversary, and that was indeed a huge event. I believe it was one of the biggest Culturamas we would have had then, because Nevis would have seen the return of many of our nationals, and would have seen the persons who were visitors who came in for the first time, and returning visitors who would have come to be a part of that major event. Last week I also said to persons who are trying to make their plans for the summer festivities that are being held in neighboring islands, I said to you, this might be the year, and this should be the year that you give Nevis a try. If you normally go to whether it's Antigua, Barbados, or the British Virgin Islands, wherever festivities are normally held around this time, I would say if you normally go to either of those, I would say give Nevis a try this time. If you normally say, well, I'm going to come at a later date, or you want to come earlier and miss out on Culturama, maybe you can change up your plan for this year. Because the 50th anniversary is one that you'd want to give a try. I am hearing that, hotel rooms and guest houses and also Airbnbs are fully booked already. That is a good sign, but that is also one that we have to find a way to get around, and there are packages being offered for persons to get around that. You know, we did talk about the incentives that were being offered initially in terms of fixing up your home, your private home, paving your driveway, your walkway, putting in your fence, pulling down an old fence and putting up a new one. If you want to paint up, you want to buy new furniture and new equipment for your home, to make sure that you're putting on your best, putting together your best environment for your visitor or your family. Those incentives were meant to do that. And so persons have been calling, persons have been seeking ways by which they can access these incentive packages. I am saying to you, go to the Ministry of Finance. The application forms are there. They would walk you through the process. It is a process that should be it should be a seamless process, meaning there should not be any difficulties or challenges, because it has been laid out that every single private home here on the island of Nevis can benefit from this package. Every single residence, and also commercial buildings, churches as well, can benefit. Every single property on Nevis can and should benefit from these incentives. And so it is not meant to be for some. And while I'm saying that, many times we have debates here on the island and discussions, and we say all of the foreigners are coming and getting all of the incentives and concessions. We say investors come in and get these incentive packages and sometimes take it and run, take it and do nothing. I don't want to go down that road. I just want to say the debate and the discussion is different now. This has been put together by the Cabinet of the Nevis Island Administration. The Premier has spoken about it. The Honourable Eric Evelyn during that press conference yesterday to speak about Culturama 50. He mentioned it as well. I spoke in depth about it, and I'm speaking about it today. I spoke about it last week, and I will speak about it next week and the ensuing weeks, because it is something that our citizens should seriously think about capitalizing on. If you have been looking at a door that needs to be changed for so long, this is the time to change it. If you've been looking at some windows, those older awning windows or whatever they call them, or those aluminum windows, and you've been saying and looking across at your neighbor and say, those look nice. Yeah, I wish I can get those. Well, your wish is over. Go ahead and make some preparations financially. If you cannot buy it cash, then you try and see if you can procure a loan. Well, if you just can't do it, you just can't do it. That's the reality. But it's available to you. And that is the long and the short about that. So that is the incentive package that was spoken about last week. And that is the package that we will continue to speak about. Now, there is a new package that was offered or put out to the general public over the past couple of days. It is a homestay initiative. Now, since I just say that some of the guest houses and hotels, Airbnb, and other places where persons would normally stay, those I understand are booked. In some cases, fully booked. But persons can still try, because people can cancel, which we hope that's not the case. But you might be lucky still if you were to try one of those. But in order to counter and mitigate against the challenges that are out there, to ensure that the hundreds and thousands of persons who are coming to Nevis for this Culturama, the NIA have introduced a new incentive package, and it's called a homestay initiative, whereby, and I'm going to just give you an idea because I won't read everything that is here. It is meant to ensure that all of the fixing up and the sprucing up and the renovation that you're doing and the adding of new furniture and everything, that you can put your place in a state of readiness for a family member who would want to stay with you, or someone who may want to come and pay you something to stay at your place. That is available to you with this package that is being offered. So it therefore means that if you have an extra room, the children have moved out, have gone off to college, and you have extra rooms, and you feel you can get them in a state of readiness, and you can welcome a close friend, a family member, or someone, an acquaintance, or whatever the case might be, they can come, stay with you, live the home life, so to speak. It will be home away from home for them. Because if you stay in a hotel, the environment there is different. You stay in a guest house, it is different because you may not have the amenities that are available perhaps at a private home. So you have your stove, your fridge, they will be accessible to your guests. And of course, I will say the guests will come, and because you are so kind and generous to allow them to come in, they will reciprocate that, I'm sure, to you. So that is something that is available to you, where you can certainly have the opportunity of welcoming someone into your home and be there, they be your guest, and you'll be there, what do you call it now? You can be the one to house them and pay the same type of gratitude and respect and so forth to them over that period of time, so that they can enjoy this stay, but most importantly, enjoy the Culturama 50. So that one is available. Like I said, any questions, you know where to go to. You go down to the Ministry of Finance and you get some information. You can also call up the Ministry of Tourism and get some information as well, because all ministries should be able to explain or have brochures or the information that I'm talking about. It should be spread among all of the ministries. So if someone goes to the Ministry of Agriculture for some reason to do any sort of business there, they should be able to pick up a brochure or something. If they go to the Ministry of Health, they should be able to pick up a brochure there of these incentives that are being offered. There's no secret in it. It should not be a secret, and everyone should have access to this information, so that when it's all said and done, no one should say at the end of it all, I never knew. I don't want to hear that. We must all know, and we are all going to get to know, because the information is available to all of us. These packages are available. For example, the one I spoke to initially about the concession, the waiver of duty and also custom service charge, that is available from the 1st of February down to the 31st of August. But this Nevis homestay, this homestay initiative is a brilliant idea, and one that should be acted upon by all and sundry. Now, yesterday, the calendar of activities, or the core calendar of activities as they call it, was released. I won't go through all of the activities, but I would say to you that the launch is going to take place on the 12th of April. And of course, the venue, as it shows here, will be on the Charlestown waterfront. So the important thing is that the launch of Culturama 50 will take place on Friday, April the 12th, 2024, down there at the Charlestown waterfront. And of course, we have activities going all the way down to Tuesday the 6th of August. It includes the opening of Culturama on the 25th of July. That is Thursday the 25th of July. And at least in between, you have the calendar of the core activities, they say. Now, I have always said that I have a preference to seeing everything one time. Let people over there in the diaspora decide what they're going to come to eventually, in terms of all of the activities that are out there. But of course, they have their way of doing things at the Culturama Secretariat and the Culturama Committee for sure. But this is the first wave, they say. I got calls yesterday about Herbert Beach, and Herbert Beach continued to be a conversation for everyone here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, more so here in the island of Nevis. And we've been around for 27 years. And for 27 years, it has been a discussion about Herbert Beach. And I stay quiet from time to time. All I do is that since 2003, I must say, I've been spearheading that event. And so long as there's life in my body, and I have strength, and I have some energy and wisdom, I'll continue to put on that activity with the help of all of my stakeholders who work with me on a yearly basis. Some may have their criticisms of it, that's fine. it is welcome. But I'll say to you that this calendar does not have it on. That's fine. But I'm saying to the entire Nivision public and the whole of St. Kitts, the whole of the entire universe, that Herbert Beach Affair will be on this year. And it will be on August Monday, which is what? What date is that now? Let me pull up the... What date is it? Oh, the 5th. The 5th of August, we are having the Herbert Beach Affair. And I'll say to you, we are working on our plans, and we are going to execute a wonderful event this year. So this is the first wave. They say a second wave is to come and a third wave. Well, we are the tsunami. So our calendar is the tsunami. So we have one calendar, and that is the Herbert Beach Affair is going to be on the 5th of August, August Monday. And the waves will come, and of course the Herbert Beach Affair will come on one of those waves. But we are like a tsunami. We're not so much a wave. And that was meant to be, you know, what it is. I'm not knocking anyone. That is their way of doing their thing. And we're hoping also to have a homecoming event on the, I believe they have homecoming here on Wednesday, the 31st of July. We started a homecoming event over there in 2014. If those of you who can recall, we had a huge event on the first go around. If you recall this guy, what's his name? Fantastic Thunder. He had a show, a song, sorry. What it's called? Roundup. You know, they say, SK Girl Roundup, Davis Girl Roundup, welcome to the Roundup Hall of Fame. I think those are some words. I don't even want to sing it because my voice is not so good. But anyway, we had a Roundup competition down there. Some of the ladies who participated then are now Christians, so I don't expect them to be back for a show like that. But if we were to put on something similar, we expect persons to partake. But we're going to plan our homecoming event. I see they have some events here planned for that evening as well. What we're saying is that when you jump off of the plane, oh no, British Airways come on a Tuesday now. Back then it used to be a Wednesday, and we said when you come off of the plane in St. Kitts or the aircraft, British Airways, and you come to Nevis, don't even go home to take home your bags. Come straight down to Herbert Beach and enjoy the food and the drinks at that point in time. That was for our first homecoming event, and it was a marvelous event. And we had a couple of years thereafter, and then because of sponsorship and so forth, we were not able to push on with it. But this year, I'm saying it now that we will put it on this year because it is what it is. It's a huge event this year, the 50th anniversary of Culturama, and we want to put it on this year. Sorry, we want to put it on this year. I apologize for that. We want to put it on this year so that we can set the tone for the ensuing days of Culturama, which is what we normally do down there at Herbert Beach. We always come good, come big. So I'm spending some time on that. It's not on the calendar, but that's okay. It is for me to advertise it because I'm a part of it, and I want it to be known that we are having these events because people are asking questions. And you know, there are people who pick up the calendar, and the first thing they look for, believe it or not, is Herbert Beach. Herbert Beach Affair. They look for that. It's no fault of mine. But that being said, persons would market things differently. But I would think that it would have been good to have every single thing. Once someone is already committed, put on the event. If he has to come off, he has to come off. If there are others to be added, you print another calendar as you go. But from what we can say is that from the January, we already know that Herbert Beach Affair is on. And of course the homecoming event. Okay, I spent some time on that. Let's move on from that. But I just had to, you know, make sure we clarify that position and say what it is, because we shouldn't do that every year. We must not do that, and we should not be doing it. But since we have to do it, we'll do it. And this is no knock on my government and my administration. Let us set that clear, so no one make it as if that I am speaking out against what the government is doing, because I love my party, I love my government, and so long as I am alive, there are two things I don't intend to change, and that is my religion and my politics, meaning my party. So I hope I have set that clear with everybody. So let's move on that. There's no confusion there, but a person have to express their opinion. Okay, so earlier this week on Monday, we had a joint cabinet meeting between the Nevis Island, well, let's start with the federal government of St. Kitts and Nevis, headed by Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew, and of course the Nevis Island Administration, Cabinet of the Nevis Island Administration, headed by the Honourable Mark Brantley, and I can say the Honourable Mark Brantley as well. And they would have met down at the Four Seasons, and indeed, well, the conversation prior to and after is that, oh, we've had joint cabinet meetings before. Well, yes, we have had, and of course that would be the conversation. But I don't want to trivialize it, because part of the difficulty we have had here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis is that it seems as though we can thrive. We believe that we can thrive on confusion. And there comes a time when you have to put the bickering, the confusion aside. If we are to build a sustainable small island state, as we are seeking to establish and build, then we must have partnership. We must have relationships, and we must be able to work together as a federal government and as a Nevis Island administration to ensure that citizens of both islands, citizens of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, can benefit from the exploits of both governments. And so they would have met, and the discussions, from what I understand, were centered around geothermal, centered around fair share, centered around all of the topics that are important to bring about the future development of the island of Nevis. Well, of course, I was not there because I am a member of the federal parliament, but not the federal cabinet. And I wish my colleagues well in their discourse and discussions, because whatever transpires out of that, all of us as citizens will benefit. And I can safely say that we have had a working relationship with the federal government, a one that have seen the passage of 29 bits of legislation there in the federal parliament that would have gotten the support of the concerned citizens movement on each and every one of them. 33 were tabled, 29 were passed. And the concerned citizens movement, in the representatives being the Honourable Mark Brantley, the Honourable Eric Evelyn, the Honourable Latoya Jones, who is the Senator and Deputy Speaker, and myself as the third elected representative there, would have lent our support to these bills. And those bills are meant to shape the legislative agenda and make sure that these legislation can impact every citizen in every shape and form. So if we are to lend our support to those bills, it therefore means that those bills have been enacted and they are being executed by the various entities, ministries, and departments that should be doing so, and those would be used to advance the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Now, let's say, for example, we did not support. There are bills that were tabled that couldn't be passed. And that is the reality. There are bills that were tabled, and if the support was not there from the opposition, meaning the concerned citizens movement, and I will say clearly that the other entities that are there have been missing on some of those bills, but we have been there for all of them. And I say kudos to the Honourable Mark Brantley and all of my colleagues for showing up and showing their support. And so I am certain that the federal government, or the Prime Minister and his government, are appreciative of it. That is what we're there for. I'm sure he is appreciative of our effort, and we are appreciative of them as well, because they would have certainly passed legislation and also a resolution back in November last year. I can speak of the resolution that was passed to impact the geothermal project back on the 20th of November, I believe the exact date was. That was needed by the Caribbean Development Bank and other institutions to show that the federal government is lending its support and has lent its support to the development of geothermal. And if I were to talk a little politics, you know, the NRP was already a part of a coalition with the previous Labour administration. And I am not here to rehash or regurgitate or to cause conflict, but history has already been written. And these have been what we would have gone through. So if I'm speaking about what we have gone through, no one should be angry with me. But I can recall the former premier then would have said that he wanted a guarantee from the federal government to support the geothermal project, and the guarantee was not forthcoming. It never came. That was under the previous Labour administration. That is history. And who don't want to talk about it, so be it. Who don't want to hear about it, so be it. But that is a part of our history. You cannot erase it. And so, if we are seeking to undo some of these negatives, and if Prime Minister Drew is seeking to bring about a paradigm shift in leadership and how the Federation should be governed, well, you have to give him some credit for what he's doing. Nothing is wrong with that. And he can go down the same path of the previous leaders and administrations, you know, and he might end up the same way. He might suffer the same fate. So there are times when you have to come with something different. If you have a new beginning, you turn a new chapter, new bridges are being built, new directions are being forged, and a new pathway is being carved. What is so wrong with that? So those who want to see the Federation continue to be in turmoil and fight over things that I believe sensible minds and sensible discourse can be held, whereby you can unravel some of these difficulties and come to sensible solutions. Well, who wouldn't want that? Well, as we get older in life, sometimes you say, put confusion aside and take on something different, yeah? Because we got to be wiser in our approach and wiser in our thinking. Fair share was a part of the discussion, I'm sure. And we have made that a discussion over the years. Some may ask, well, where is the fair share? Well, the discussion continues. And as a matter of fact, I will say to you, we should have gotten fair share under the previous administration when we were down there as a team unity government, but some didn't see it that way. Some had their bully approach to governance and believed that we were there propping them up instead of we being a partner in the whole process. And fair share has to be something to be talked about. Because I'll say this to you, if you and your brother own a piece of land, both of your names are on the title, and one brother decide to sell that land, that piece of land, well, wait a minute, the brother gonna walk away with all of the money? He can't. When it put your name on it, whatever portion you must get yours. So if a passport have on St. Kitts and Nevis, it is the asset of St. Kitts and Nevis. St. Kitts on one hand, Nevis on the next. If the asset is sold, all we are saying with the same example I gave with piece of land, Lord of mercy, we deserve our fair share. What is wrong with that? And I'm not making it an argument this afternoon. I'm just telling you that as we go about our discussion, keep in mind that all we're saying, any asset that is sold that belong to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, we are asking for a fair share. And it is not me now to create any discussion or difficulty or any argument with the federal government. I'm just saying that is the long and short, and that is the premise upon which we should all have our discussions. And Prime Minister Drew, you have my support. You have started to do many of the things that some did not. And you are on a pathway to create a different environment here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. You have the respect of every Nevisian. I don't care who they're talking. You must respect persons in authority. You have the respect of the Nevis Island administration, and by the same token, you must reciprocate that respect, and I believe you're a respected and respectable person. And once we respect each other as a people, I think we're on the right road here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. So, I spent the whole hour updating and talking and touching on things that I believe are important to all of us. I started with the Culturama discussion. Listen, Culturama will be on our minds for the next couple of months. It will be on our tongue. It will be a part of our discourse. We are running out of time, so we're going to... Oh, I'm out of time. Well, listen, let me wrap up quickly and say, as I normally do, if someone tell you who they are, take them at their word. But if they show you who they are, you better believe them, because they ain't telling no lie in that regard. Look at them. Ladies and gentlemen, it was indeed my pleasure being here. It's always fun, but I gotta run. And I am always privileged to come and spend some time with you. Thank you for being a part of this show. Have a wonderful weekend. Take care of yourself. God bless you. And may you continue to prosper as a citizen of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Good afternoon and have a good weekend.
The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited or its advertisers.